Board of Finance meeting to order, July 22, 2013, 7 o'clock, Daniel S. Rivera, Selectmen's Chambers. Before we do public participation, we need a motion to admit either Bob Garso or Sean Deary as a voting member, or both. Need a motion? Okay.
Sure.
Motion made to have Sean Deary as a voting member. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, all in favor of Sean as a voting member, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Public participation. Is there anybody who would like to comment or ask a question? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Item 3A of June 24, 2013 minutes. We all received those in our package. And what is your pleasure on the June 24th minutes?
Make a motion to approve the June 24th Board of Finance meeting minutes.
Is there a second? Second. Motion made and seconded to approve these meetings. Any discussion, any additions or corrections, any deletions? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the June 24th Board of Finance meeting minutes, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 3B, July 1st, 2013 Special Board of Finance meeting.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of July 1st, 2013.
Motion made second. Any discussion? Any additions, deletions, corrections? Seeing none, all in favor of accepting the July 1st Special Board of Finance meeting, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, so voted. We're skipping number 4 because this is not a reporting month for the Board of Education of General Government. So we go right to 5, Finance Director's Report. We have Sandra here and a guest.
Yes, and a guest, Ian from Spinnacle, I was going to say Technologies, an AccuFund demonstration. We discussed last month about some potential new software. So, I'll give the floor to you.
Okay. So my name's Ian Scullin. Art, you. You give me one?
Yes, I will.
It's like here, it's your, there. And so what I'm going to do is just sort of give you a brief overview of the software, just so you can see it and see what it looks like. And feel free to ask questions, about concerns that you have, and things you want to be sure that it can do. One of the things that Sandra said was really important is the ability to do, yeah, I'm sorry, turn around, is ability to do good financial statements. And so I've just got a couple demonstration or samples here of financial statements we've done for clients and taken the names off. But one of the things we can do is make it look exactly like your audit. So this is a client's financial statement, and we were able to make it look exactly like their audit. So they just hand it to the auditors. Auditors approve it and make any changes if necessary. But we can change the font, we can put graphics in, you can put the town seal in. Another thing that the software can do. That's better. Aha. Nope, it doesn't. It's well looking back here.
I think if you move it back, you probably get bigger.
Yeah. All right. There you go. That's better. Huge. Okay. Good. Good suggestion. So, one of the things that Sandra mentioned is, it's important to be able to do a budget to actual. And so you can see here that not only can it do a budget to actual, but you can also put in revisions of a budget, which is a required governmental reporting thing in some cases where you have to show, okay, we made this as the original budget, but then we also made a revision to the budget, so we want to see both columns. So that's a sort of example. The neat thing about this is you can run it like this, but you could also say she's preparing the budget to actual for a board meeting. she could run it on drill down, and then if she had a question on any of those numbers, she could double click on it and actually get to the actual transactions that make it up. So those are just some sample financial statements. Here's some other ones. I know you guys get some grants, and from time to time you'll have to report on the grants. And of course the grantors have a specific format that they're going to want it in, and you can make the software do things like put it in the format that the grantor wants. So they want a box around the title, they want to have the number of the grant, so you can do things like that. So here, this is a fund accounting, so you have a special projects fund, general fund, you can report on them separately in your financial statements. Any questions on like financial statements?
Will this be used just by Sandy or by all the departments that use the computers?
My understanding is it would be used by Sandy and then eventually
Well, I
other
would create
departments.
reports or run reports, but there would be other users depending on their particular function, such as accounts payable. There's a payroll option, or you can outsource payroll and have data imported in. Accounts receivable, we do purchasing now, so.
Okay.
I'm assuming we would still be able to see how, I mean, none of these financials are showing how we see them by rec department, by
Well,
town
see,
clerk.
this is, it would be, we would have our own chart of accounts, we have our own departments, and, reports could be generated, like breaking it out by department and so forth, so. It's kind of like whatever we want, they can customize the
Yeah.
reports.
Take a look at that one there, for example. See how that one's got, that was for just a nonprofit, but they have the various departments in columns. So they can see the various departments and programs that they run, and then we've got a total at the end. So it's like a little mini income statement at one glance. You can see how each department did at any time. So yeah, sure, we can do that. Another thing that we'll be able to do is you have a number of different accounting or software packages doing different elements of accounting. And in time, you could buy some extra modules within AccuFund and actually have it all happen within AccuFund in one bigger database. So I'm going to minimize that. And here. So each user has an abbreviation, and that is going to restrict what features they see in the software. So like the accounts payable person couldn't get in to do stuff that he or she doesn't have rights to do. So it has very good security built in. Another good security feature is anything that anybody does is tracked. So if you needed to know, okay, who did that one transaction, you can look and run a report and it'll say this user did it on this date. Oh, but it was changed by this user on this date. So it tracks every single change and to a transaction that anybody did. So it's really it's a very user-friendly package. You hit the drop down here, and this is a list of modules that that's not even complete. These are just some of the ones I've turned on. It comes with accounts payable, comes with cash management, cash receipts. It comes with general ledger, and then some of the modules we've talked about, you folks adding, would be accounts receivable, the ability to handle receivables, and fixed assets, track assets. In time, you can consider getting the utility billing module. Right now, you have a separate software package that does that. It's sort of outside of your accounting package. So in time, you can bring on utility billing, and it would be just everybody would be on the same software. And also, there's grants management, and that's cool because that doesn't just handle the financial part of the software of a grant, but it also handles like reporting dates. You can scan in, the software has document management, so I could scan in, say I had a document that I wanted to add, I could click on images here and hit insert and browse out to a PDF and add that PDF in on maybe an accounts payable transaction or a cash receipt if you have a copy of a check that you know the auditors are going to ask about. You could all files. All right, perfect. I can just grab a PDF here, attach it, and it's in the software. It's in the database, so that at any time I can grab the proof of what the item is. So it is, you've all heard of QuickBooks, maybe some of you have worked with QuickBooks. This is sort of a robust QuickBooks. It looks nice. They've borrowed some of the features of QuickBooks in the way it looks. You know, it's somebody can look at a transaction, they can double click on it, they can see, okay, here's the check we wrote, here's the reference, what bill did it pay, they can click on it, they can double click on the accounts payable bill, and they can see the bill. If it had an attached image, it would be there. If it became an asset, you can see the setup as a fixed asset right there. And so it's a really user-friendly. People enjoy using it. You know, it's really nice. You can see right here, for example, it's giving this person to view what the current balance is in the bank, that they have $2,200 of unpaid bills. They kind of have to run to the bank to deposit the $41,000 check that needs to be deposited, and then their ending balance would be $66,000. So it just has lots of little things that make it really useful for a user. If a user has a question, they can hit F1, and it'll come in with the help file, and the help file is on the window they're in. So it will provide help that's context sensitive with screenshots. So that's kind of how the software looks. If I want to do a different module, I hit the drop down, and if I want to do fixed assets, I hit that, and then the little buttons change. So so that you basically just follow the buttons from left to right is the order you do a process in. So it's really user friendly. I've been involved with this software since 2003. It's pretty new. Many of the other packages, Sandra, I know, looked at a lot of packages. A lot of them are older software packages. iFund is pretty recent technology. They're actually benefiting from the move to the cloud because the software actually is able to be easily moved into the cloud. They have a browser-based version that's coming out, and they're aggressively updating it. So it's not a software package that you're going to buy and then 4 months from now or 3 years from now there'll be some cool new feature and they'll make this obsolete. Because of the way the software is written, AccuFund keeps track of what the changes are in the marketplace. If there's a change in the accounting rules, AccuFund can implement it. So GASB 34 came out and changed the whole need to have budget revisions, and AccuFund was able to quickly add budget revisions to the financial report writer so you can see them. Any questions on things you'd like to see that you haven't seen?
On our available in the future. Can you make that?
Yeah, sure.
Do we have? I don't see it.
And then not everything's turned on there. So it's just
purchasing, would that be?
Purchasing, right.
Purchase
so,
order?
Yeah. So if I click on purchasing, so this would be a purchase order. There's also a requisitions module, which is for that, which is if somebody wants something but you want an approval process, there's requisitions. But without requisitions, you can just put in a purchase order. What's nice about purchase orders, then it creates an encumbrance in the software. So I can run a financial report that shows, actually I had a funny experience. I used to be a CFO of a nonprofit, and I had a funny experience with that, which was, but the purchase order creates an encumbrance and then therefore it'll show up in the financial statement. So when I was a CFO, if I had the purchase order module, I would have known about the $20,000 conference table that somebody ordered that hadn't gotten the bill for yet, that of course wasn't in the financial statements, and I didn't know about. The purchase order module enables you to, put those budgeted items in. Even if you haven't bought it yet, you can put in a budgeted item, and then you can have a column for encumbrances, and you can see, oh, well, we budgeted $50,000 in furniture. We've sort of agreed to buy this conference room table at $30,000. We haven't bought it yet. The invoice isn't in, but you know we've got a remaining budget of $20,000. So it's a really nice tool for sort of managing what's going on. Yeah, and it's really easy to do. Let's just show you what it looks like. If I wanted to do it, I'd hit insert, and then we choose a vendor. So I could, say MAN, and that'll bring up Manny's Mouse Emporium if I know, and then I can put in a description, mice, and then I can say insert, or I can put in insert here, and then I could have, maybe I buy the mice a lot, in which case I could have it stored. Oh, rats, we're buying rats today. And how many do I want? And you can know what the unit price is or not. And then you can put in the accounting, the chart of accounts. You have a chart of accounts in your current accounting software, and one of the parts of the implementation process is we'll work with you to bring that over from your existing software, also improve it.
We're good, but yeah, they're
As
going to change
necessary.
the chart of accounts.
Yeah.
I've also been speaking with the board of ed, and there's this universal chart of accounts thing that's kind of in the works. So kind of gravitating a little bit to that.
Hmm?
The state is gonna, they're gonna talk at the state level,
Yes.
forcing a universal chart of accounts.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what you've seen in this program.
Yep, that's right, yep. So we can implement that universal chart of accounts. In fact, Acton's actually been at the table of some of those discussions. So, good, there's that. So yeah, purchase orders. Any question? Anything you want me to show
I'm
them?
just,
Or?
I guess you could go over AP a little bit
Sure.
quickly.
So if I was doing AP, I'd go to accounts payable. This is the vendors, and so if I wanted to see some vendors' history, like we'll click on Manny's again, I can double click on it, and I can see down here in yellow, they have one purchase order, they have 2 cash receipts, because a vendor can also have other relationships, like you can see here, they could be a customer, so we don't have to add them in the software twice. I can store things like addresses, multiple phone numbers. I can put in notes about the vendor, so I've had conversations with them, and I want to track conversations with them. And change, we'll do.
One thing we talked about before also is like the chart of accounts and the due to, due froms and all that, that it can be built behind the scenes, so when something gets paid, it's going to automatically hit that fund. And
Yep.
you could probably show them that in the
Okay.
software also.
We got where it was. We're back up here. Oh, I keep hitting purchase order. I don't want to do purchase order. No, there we go. So here I'm going to do US West. Officer, it's perfect. We'll just do officer. And I'm going to order office supplies. And I can here say what bank account it's going to come out of if I want. I can put in an invoice number if they give you an invoice number. It's warning me that this invoice number 123 has already been put in for Office Max. So it's going to keep track of and warn you if somebody, hey, you already got this bill number. So I'm just going to go that, so I'm going. It has 2 dates here, invoice date and activity date. The vendor will give you a date of the invoice. That doesn't mean that's the date you really wanted in your books. They could be sort of aggressively billing you, But yet it's useful for paying them on a 30-day or whatever period. So the Act Fund separates these two dates out. So I'm gonna put in a $2,000 bill, and I'm gonna say insert, and so you have different funds. So here we have, in this particular chart of accounts, general fund, temporarily restricted fund, enterprise fund. So I could say, okay, the general fund, half of this order is for, say, a new computer for the IT folks. And do supplies here, and I'll put in $1,000, and I can put in a line item description here. And then I can say, okay, then I want for the enterprise fund, and they're gonna do, for an adult program, and do supplies again, and it will only allow legal accounts. So it's saying that it's not letting me do, the red X is not letting me do all supplies to the enterprise fund. Let's see here. No, try to get the fund. I'm not gonna allow me, I'm just gonna show you. I can put in here what I have. $1,000. Behind the scenes, it's going to create a due to, due from. So if all the cash is sitting on Fund 1, but Fund 2 is buying $1,000 worth of paper, it will create what's called due to, due from, saying that Fund 2 it owes Fund 1 $1,000. And I think right now, currently, you would have to create a separate entry for that, but this software does it behind the scenes automatically, right there, offset. And so there you have Fund 2 and Fund 1, $1,000, $1,000, right behind the scenes.
Question.
Can you go back to the budget module? I'd like to see how you set up a prospective budget.
So you can purchase, there's a budget module you purchase, but we actually haven't quoted that out to you because they include in it budgeting capability. So most people don't buy the budget module. Budget module is really used for very, very large organizations. What most people do is you can import the budget in. AccuFund is an excellent import tool, and most people create their budgets in Excel anyway. So what you can do, and what most people will do, is they will import the budget in. So I go here, budget, and they give you different budgets. I can do grant budget, I can do a grant budget, program budget. So you can create different like subsets of budgets within the organization. And then if it was a small budget, I could just enter it in manually, just as a journal entry.
Yeah, we basically discussed that to keep the costs down, that we would not look to buy the budget
Yeah.
module.
And I would recommend it.
I have to enter it in.
Yeah, I would recommend it, because most of my clients,
Or import.
I have two really big organizations that have the budget module, because they have many staff, and what the budget module is used for is you create a budget worksheet, and then you can push it out to like program managers who are at disparate sites, who can log into AccuFund and build their own budget on a template that you're kind of using AccuFund to provide. In a smaller environment here, not that you're that small, but it just makes sense, I think, to have probably build it in an Excel spreadsheet, and I can help you with the template. We provide a template they can use, and then you use this import wizard, which is really cool. And the import wizard comes up, and basically it walks you through the process. And so the wizard, here's the wizard, comes up and says, what am I importing? I'm importing a budget, and so I can say 2014 budget, and I can give it the date that it's going to start at, so I can say October 1st, and I can next, and then I can store a template for the budget, and then I can say what's it coming from? Is it Excel spreadsheet? Yes. And then I can point out where the Excel spreadsheet is, and I can hit next, and I can't do that, it's gonna connect, it connects to Excel, to grab it. I'm just gonna grab one really quickly here. And I'll do the most stuff. So it connects to the spreadsheet, and then I just say where does the data exist? So the account number is sitting in column C, and the amount is in column F, and then maybe that's enough, or activity date, maybe the date would be in column B. And then I hit next, and then I hit finish, and then AccuFund goes out the Excel spreadsheet and pulls it in. Now, this is probably good because it throws the wrong columns and everything to look at it, but it's going to attempt to import it in, and then it'll give you a message saying, you know, these are the errors I encountered or whatever. So,
And I do have importing experience
So-
with software.
so it's a really good import module. When I became a reseller for AccuFund, that was one of my favorite things, is the ability to import from other software packages. So like, and that's actually useful in the short run. You may also have other software packages that you want to pull data into AccuFund from. And so if that software can get an Excel or a CSV file or a text file out, AccuFund can import it in. So
Well, I just saw some dashboard stuff in your handouts.
Yeah.
Can that be imported into the budget?
It has a dashboard module, and you could take some of the dashboard data and export it to Excel, because of course everything can go out to Excel, and then you can import it in as a budget entry.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's a dashboard?
Dashboard is this cool thing I loved. Here, I'll show you.
Scribbler?
Close up. No, I'll show you. I'll give you a quick glimpse. Okay. If I go to license change, and I'll turn on the dashboard. I had it turned off, but I'm now turning it on. There we go. If I log in, dashboard's going to come up. Dashboard is basically a graphical representation of some of your data. And so it's used by like high-end folks, like CFOs, so they can log in and see their cash balances. You might have a graph of like what your cash balances are, or you could have a graph of AP balances. Is it something you guys need? Probably not, but it's there, you know, if you want to do it.
So Ian, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Like the bottom line. What does this whole thing cost?
Well, in your packet,
I saw,
well, we didn't get the whole thing,
right?
because we are getting, or we would get the general ledger, accounts payable, purchasing, and accounts receivable. I believe is what we sell them. 5 users, 15 databases, which means like the special services district can stand out on their own, like they do now. And there's 2 versions. One, if we also had payroll, and one if we did not, because we talked about outsourcing payroll. And so the 2 quotes,
Who's outsourcing payroll?
we have talked to
Talk
people.
about it.
Anybody talk to us about it?
What's that?
I'm glad you had that conversation.
Nobody's doing anything, we're just, investigating.
When they're ready, they'll come to us.
So,
They put it on the dashboard.
I did not put you on the dashboard.
all right, we'll talk about with the payroll module.
Right.
Okay? Year 1 for the software is $10,820. That includes the 5 users, purchase order, the payroll, the accounts receivable, the general ledger,
Well,
cash
stop that
management.
right quick, go back, start
Sorry.
over.
Okay. $10,820.
Yeah, 5 users.
5 users. Okay, that includes the core, which is the general ledger, the cash management, the,
AP,
accounts payable,
cash receipts, budget reporting, financial statements.
And purchasing. Purchasing was in there or not?
yes, purchasing is in that quote. And payroll.
I'm sorry, what was that for budget receipts and including the payroll?
Okay, so that's the software. piece
Budget,
is-
finance,
Is that what-
financials,
What is financials?
What, cash management? Is that what?
No, it was after cash receipts, budget,
financials,
Report.
purchase and payroll.
and there was something in payroll.
Okay, so that's a software cost. There's an implementation, which every software company has that. Implementation is going to run between $18,345 and as high as $26,745. I personally don't feel that it's gonna come near the 26,000 because one of the things is, there's about a beginning balance import in here. We're not gonna import a lot of old, I'll say garbage data out of Main Street. We're gonna start with clean balances, and go from there. We're not gonna upload a bunch of vendors. We're not gonna upload all, it's just gonna be, put them in as we need them, as we use them. The,
Is that a
So-
one-time payment? Is that a one-time cost?
yes,
Once, okay.
yes. Going forward, the, and then, well, there's like, we talked about with the payroll function too, we don't have like 500 employees that we could basically put them in. I would help Caroline get them in there and so forth. So, and then there's always an annual maintenance fee, which includes upgrades and all that kind of stuff. And
What's the cost of that?
like this looks like an annual maintenance cost.
If you're hosting, if you draw the there is, it's built in.
Okay,
So if you're hosting, you're not paying it.
okay.
And there's support by Pinnacle,
Mhm.
and that would be, well, actually, no, there's no support that, support line for Pinnacle. If you purchase it, there's, maintenance and enhancements, but if you're
Okay, and so
online,
this
there's not.
is, so this would be our cost every year.
Correct.
This.
Yeah.
All right, so annually would be $10,320. Currently, we're paying Harris $9,200 to every year for Main Street, and I can't even get a check register out of it.
So the increase is about $1,100.
Yes, as far as the
Over what we,
annual,
okay, over what we pay now.
right, right.
Mayor?
Here.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Rich Mayor. One thing I did want to point out that, there's been a lot of talk about things that Main Street doesn't do and features that it's missing. But one of the, as your IT guy, one of the things that bothers me the most is you guys are failing a security audit on a yearly basis because Main Street doesn't have usernames and passwords. When you open Main Street, yeah, if you're
It's
the,
like opening Main
if
Street.
you're the,
Yeah.
if you're the boss, I give you the boss icon. If you're not the boss, you get this icon. So anybody, any enterprising person with half a brain could look in the directory and say, oh, let me click this boss executable. Next thing you know, I'm speaking in generalities, but you have the keys to the castle. So there's no security, there's no encryption. I'm dead serious.
Mhm.
I see,
There's nothing.
you don't believe me.
I believe you.
You can give
I
me
mean,
detention
yeah,
again.
anybody
You got it.
can go in there and
This
see every module, every piece of it. There's no audit
Yeah.
trail.
So compared to, let me,
I'm not,
bottom line. Here-
let me finish real
Go
quick.
ahead.
I don't want to interrupt, but there's no security. It's very old. The version that we have is not supported anymore. So they're charging us over $9,000 a year for tech support. But me and Larry and my staff have to call these guys. Basically, the answer is, well, that version's not supported anymore. In one instance, we had to work with an outside vendor so that she could your
Took me
predecessor
3
to print
weeks.
checks.
Yep.
You know, we're struggling and it's costing you money. The $1,100 difference between that and this will be paid for in frustration, progress, the ability to do more things, and you not feeling superior.
And eventually there's going to be plans for that.
So bottom line, what's the
Sorry,
total
yeah.
cost of this? Because this
You
group
said
here
10,000
is a
Well,
money
let's
source.
just go, we'll use the high figure.
What are the highest figures you got there?
The high figure is like 36,000 first year
The first.
because of the implementation.
And once the implementation's gone, it's 10,000.
10,320
30
a year.
a year after that.
Yep.
And this will put us more in line, and as
Oh,
Eric said,
God, yes.
we'll be secure, a
Yep.
lot more secure.
And, you know, even though we're not buying all the modules at this point, we can, you know, maybe next year when budget time comes around, you know, because grants management would be an added module.
And this is for next year.
Right.
So
But
you're
I
gonna
would
finish
like to do this now.
Where are we gonna get the money now?
Well, we paid Harris $9,200, which we haven't paid them for this year. And also in the treasurer's budget, there was $3,500 allocated for a software upgrade. So that's, it's up to $12,700.
You see Doug smiling over there.
You have
Yes.
some money?
So,
This is too
I don't know if it's possible to
You can
perhaps
deal-
get
That's
some
only
money out of
20,000
reserve
interest
fund
in that.
balance.
20,000 short,
But
and
we're short. You'll be 20,000 short.
20,000 short,
Yes.
you're 32.
So I don't know if we, again, if we get money out of reserve fund
I don't know
balance.
what's your fiscal year end date? Like, what's your year end?
June just ended.
June
Okay.
30th just started.
June 30th. Okay, so you just
I
started.
have one
yeah.
more question on cost. We've got 5 users. Is there some more cost from Savage Systems to?
Well, we pay them already anyway.
You
Well,
pay
so
us
what is
for-
the cost?
you-
So
you're an
you come in to
encompassing.
bring in
They're
five-
all
To set up
encompassing.
from you, what is this new
You
cost?
pay us a flat rate per computer that you have, and that includes unlimited tech support within business
With the
hours.
cloud and everything, there won't need to be
No, ma'am.
anything
No,
different?
ma'am. You guys, we've put in dozens of new products for you, we've taken out dozens of old products, and you don't pay anything above that monthly fee. Thank you, by the way. Jack always clears.
Very surprised.
One thing I will say, if I may add, and I'm sorry to hijack the process here, but I would like to see the difference between the cloud-hosted model and the internal model. I help a lot of clients buy software. It's one of my gigs, whereas Larry does all the hard work. It was a joke. Keep around. What I like to look at is I'm a big fan of putting things into the cloud because it does a lot of things. It saves you a lot of money in infrastructure. In other words, you don't have to buy a server to put this on. You don't have to pay to have it backed up. You don't have to pay, some guy to support it that you need. So you do save some money there. But being that you guys are under a support contract and we have 2 brand new servers, there's the potential to run this internally. And I know one of the main reasons to run it into the cloud is to have that access externally. So you're home and you're working. And we can't forget about Priscilla at the police department. She has to be able to connect to this. And right now I've got her, in a hackneyed way connecting into Main Street. So that stuff's important, but we can do that stuff ourselves. We can have what's called a private cloud, and in some ways we already do. Now, if it's a cost savings of 5 or 10%, I'd say pay them to host it all the way. But if it's going to save us, $2,000 or $3,000 a year, I think it would be a no-brainer for us to spend $3 grand on a server and be done with it. And then every 4 years you have to buy a new one. But if you look at the numbers, by the time you're done, it's going to end up working out in your favor.
Our servers are also hosting, like Koozie software and
Yeah.
Fundware software.
Actually, no, Koozie is downstairs. They have a separate server. Our 2 servers upstairs are hosting. One of them hosts Main Street, so that would go by. But the way we have it set up is we have 2 big servers, and then within them a bunch of virtual servers. So I'm confident looking at the product, speaking with Ian that runs Sybase. I know what kind of resources that requires. We could run this with our existing infrastructure with a future vision of segregating. I like to have things segregated personally. I like to have the accounting people have their server and this department have theirs. But as a town hall, we're not going to put 6 servers in the server room. But we could work with what we have now and then see how things go, and then the following year budget for an additional server. Hypothetically, again, I don't know what the difference in cost is.
Mhm.
Some softwares I look at are $600 a month to host it or $5,000 to buy it. And a lot of people look at it and go, well, you know, that's a tough decision to make, but, and I would obviously leave that up to you guys, but I would want you guys to, you know, go into this armed with those numbers so you can make a decision. The other thing I will say is this product looks awesome. And I work with 6 other town halls, and they have really nice products that cost double. I looked at the website for this product, I've seen the demo, and I've done some other research, and it looks like it definitely does everything you need, and this is probably the one, and I know Sandra agrees that you guys should purchase.
So back to the cloud versus the server, is the cloud in this annual maintenance and up, where is that cost now?
There were 2 quotes. We gave you a purchase quote and then a cloud quote. The cloud quote support and annual maintenance is built into that cost, so it's built into the amount you got.
Okay, so this one that we
So,
have,
like
that you
the
just gave us,
10,000 the 10,300, you know, after the implementation, it's gonna cost you that every year, and we don't have to lay out like $72,000 to Tyler, for example, to buy the software, plus pay them maintenance. I know the Board of Ed, because I spoke with Tyler,
I don't know who Tyler is.
well, Tyler, the Board of Ed has Tyler,
What?
the Board of Education has Tyler.
Well, you would know it as Budget Sense or Unifund,
No, very
or now it's called
Anyway.
Infinite Vision.
Because we even tried to piggyback with them since they already spent $75,000 to buy the software. And besides that, they pay $13,000 a year for support.
Okay, but I'm not asking that, I'm asking, he said he gave you 2 quotes. Where's the other quote?
So how would it
The
be without
quote
the cloud?
without the cloud.
Without the cloud,
What's
if it
the
was
quote?
internal, what was the difference?
She has, I didn't bring it with me, but
Is it in our packet here?
No, it's not. It's not. And
Okay,
it's,
so we need to see that.
Is it better to have the cloud, or is it better not to have the cloud?
It's a matter of numbers.
Because like he said,
It's
a lot
better
of
to have the
times,
cloud.
it's $600
Right,
a
that's-
month times 12 months. In 1 year, you would have paid if you kept it on your own server.
Right.
There are obvious benefits with
Yeah,
regards to liability and things like that,
And getting
to
it
not
back
having it here.
correctly.
I just always like to see the cost benefit. You know, that you guys are all business people. If it costs 10 times more to give you 2 times more safety, it doesn't
Instead
make
of
sense.
paying every year $7,000, we could pay $7,000 1 year and never have to pay it again. So we need to know.
that would not be correct, though, because isn't there support every
this
year?
support and
There's
maintenance.
support,
don't
but
be-
that's what I'm saying. How much of this 10,000, what is the other quote?
Yeah,
That's what we
I
need
can
to
pull it
know.
up for you.
Yes.
Is it that, did you
But
email
I-
that to me, Doug?
Probably, you
Hang
know,
on, I
that
can
was
dig
a-
up the-
a way
While they're
early
looking
quote.
for that,
was an early
your
quote.
smile, is there $32,000 that would happen this year for
We're
this?
working on it.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Okay, and if it
And
was
that's
towards,
the other-
if it was towards the lower end, the 16 versus the 26, how would we find
That's a lot more
that?
doable than the 26.
How would we find that out? How would we know, I mean, obviously $10,000 window is.
Yeah, that
how-
concerns me.
Where do you figure that number in? Is it, and how much data you're importing? Is that where that
Because
number grows?
It's based on, for example, the implementation.
Implementation.
Yeah, implementation, that's.
Is 1 to 2 days, so it ranges between 1,400 and 2,800. So it depends, if he does 1 day, it's 1,400, if it takes 2 days, 2,800.
Oh,
The suite implementation and training is between 1 and 2 days, 1,400, 2,800. Quite frankly, I could pretty much almost go in here and just use the software. I've used tons of different programs. I'm pretty savvy when it comes to using software. I don't see it taking 2 days.
So I guess my question is that's all right. Is that number's a floating number,
It is.
pretty much not known until you get to the end of the day and say, here's your bill.
Mhm.
Okay. So
And
we
who
should
else
plan
has to
on,
be trained?
we
Who's
should plan on the
using
26.
software?
You should plan on the 26.
I would be the
Somewhere in
software administrator. I would train Caroline on accounts payable,
Mhm.
Based on-
which is, it's really user friendly.
It's like
You wouldn't have a problem with it. From what I see, what you do, our current software.
Yeah.
Guess what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
We have accounts receivable, that would be Eileen and myself. Lucille does all her stuff, so she would be another user.
Rosanna.
That's WPCA, they don't, we could get them to come over to this, but we can use their support money.
Okay.
But then that's utility bill and that's another.
And who does payroll?
Caroline does payroll.
So she does both accounts payable and payroll.
Yes.
Now,
Everybody individually budgets, when they report to the budget from Excel, everybody puts it on Excel, that's what we get. So if somebody's doing this manually at manual time, whereas this computer system would start getting everybody into one, and then it would just be, everybody would be able to push a button and show you the
purchase.
they still have to put it on Excel. There's no point.
Well, unless you have to back, that's fine. They would only have to put it on our for next year's budget and to work on the budget. But once the budget was set.
Don't think I did a purchase with payroll.
No, you did not with payroll.
I don't think I did a purchase, I did, this is purchasing without the payroll module.
Really, I don't care about that.
So,
So 13 down?
so it'd be, yeah, basically, and payroll's a little more expensive, so, I actually looked at, so,
You got
with,
three.
if you did payroll instead, it would be about, hang on. I'm on the sheet, you know, it's hard to, I'm just, you know what I need to do?
Get a pencil.
Yeah, well, no, it's hard. I'm just sort of trying to look at quotes I've done,
Yes.
because we did like.
I had them do some different variations,
Yeah.
you know, trying to keep costs
Find
down,
the right one.
what's best for us, and
Okay, well, we're taking your recommendation into consideration of what you're going to want, what you want to use. We're just looking at numbers for us. It's really what it comes down to.
and I would encourage you to look at other numbers that are in your packet from other companies, which are like.
Well, no, we're taking, if this is your
Yes.
recommendation of the software, I don't care then what the other companies cost.
Well,
I
just,
mean, I'm
you
not-
know, I think we get a lot of bang for our buck.
That's not, but the point is, we have a budget, and where is the money coming from?
Right,
And
right,
how do I
right.
know somebody else isn't gonna come in here next month and say, oh, I need some money out of the reserve fund? Why should I give it to you? And not, you know, we have to make sure now, you know, that,
I can understand that piece.
Well, I look at it differently, okay? We obviously have an issue, and we mentioned, security, all right? And we have a system that's really not working all that well.
No.
And we only got two
It's not
choices.
working.
We either can,
It's not working well, it's not working.
okay, it's not working, okay, but let me finish. So our other choice is we just don't do nothing, and we kick the can down the road, and we throw that on the next Board of Finance, which I don't think we should do. We should try to find the money for this project and get it taken care of, and move forward into a system that everybody can work with, and especially I'm concerned about the security part. That bothers the heck out of me.
Our auditors have mentioned security in the past.
So that's what we keep
Not
asking
quite like
for a
your
number.
just is.
and Doug, you feel that if we spend the money now, the town's not gonna need it for something else until next July, because there's not gonna be any more.
I'll only take one bite of the apple, how's that?
So okay, so we have money sitting there that nobody else is gonna need, that,
No, he just
No,
said.
no,
He
I'm-
just said he's still looking for it.
I'm still looking, I got
He hasn't
different
come up with
sources that I'm trying to
$32,000.
track down, so.
He's crunching numbers and cutting.
I don't think we
like-
can
The thing is,
We've even looked for some grant money.
Yeah.
I mean,
the thing is, you wanna have it implemented by January,
yes, because of payroll.
because of payroll.
Okay, so we got a couple of months.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
yeah. I'd like to have find this by at least, August.
My whole thing is,
You
and I
have to
agree with
give us-
Sean, I agree with everybody here, we don't really give a darn. If this is the
That's
best
a nice presentation,
system,
but it's not gonna work.
if it's the best
I'm not
system,
working with it.
God bless America. Okay, we have no problem with that. Problem is, if you ain't got the animals, you ain't got the zoo.
I know.
We need
I
the
understand.
cash.
I understand.
Yes, Eric?
I saw some numbers flashing on the screen with regards to the purchasing of it.
Right.
And I think the purchasing method saves us a boatload of money. I think it was one of those extreme examples I mentioned. Was it not 13,000?
Well, it didn't have the payroll module in it.
Oh, yeah, how much more would that be?
Well, the problem with payroll is it's hard to implement, because you have to implement all the employees, all the pay codes. So payroll you have to do, you do have to put in, there's a fair amount of implementation
But
costs.
the yearly costs were $2,000.
The yearly costs are really low, yeah.
So just so everybody understands, if we pay a boatload now, I meant rather, I'll edit that off the tape. It's say 15,000 now, but the maintenance costs were 2,000 a year, so now you're paying 9,000 to Main Street. If we post this internally, we pay 2,000 a year, so you just save 7, which I'm sure Sandra can find something to do with. And then moving forward, you're just paying that 2 every year. So we get hit now.
No, we're paying 10 every
No, that's what he's saying, post it
No,
yourself, that's the
it's-
difference.
Right now, you're
Internally,
paying
you're
over
paying-
$9,000 a year to
It's-
Main
it's
Street.
internally, you don't have the annual fee as much, it's just you pay maintenance and enhancements and support, which is 15%. It's actually 25% of the cost of software every year instead of basically
The
same amount.
software.
So if you're buying $15,000 worth of software, you can pay $3,000 in
Maintenance and fees
or
every.
30 or
That-
$2,500 in an annual fee.
Well,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, every 3 or 4 years, we're looking at a server.
Potentially, every 3 to 4 years, you will need to spend, or actually 4 to 5 years, you'll need to spend approximately $4,000, and that's a high estimate for a
So
brand new.
you're talking
system.
$16,000 difference in 4 years.
I'm not very good at math. I would do it differently. I would say 4,000 every 4 years, $1,000 a year. Support is 2,000, so your costs are approximately 3,000 per year for support and for infrastructure.
So what we need to make a decision is we need to know the cost with the payroll included,
Okay.
with the cloud, without the cloud, and then every 4 years,
I
what
could
would the
probably
cost be?
sit down and in the next 10 minutes give it to you. I just need to know.
Well, we
the
need
two
it, I mean,
proposals
we're not
together,
making
right?
that
Okay.
decision tonight anyway,
Right,
because we
okay,
don't
sure.
know if we have
So,
any money, but.
I'll provide it.
If
We
you-
already basically got, we did one proposal with the payroll implementation cost on the hosted edition. Then I did a purchase proposal without payroll. So I just need to take the two, put them together, and then.
And then, of course, there's that proposal that you were talking about with outsourcing payroll.
Right, and-
We don't know what you're talking about, but you might want to write that down.
Right. Because if it makes sense, we would like to hear that, if it was a conversation that made sense.
With the payroll?
Payroll being on.
In your packet, there is information on.
I know, we understand that we have 2 with and without payroll. We don't understand why payroll was being outsourced. Right, that's the question that we're looking for.
We just investigated because payroll is a huge liability for the town. You have all the accruals, the W-2s, W-4s, the tax reporting, the tax payments. A company would do all of this for us.
Yep.
So that's why,
Yeah, it requires less expertise internally.
Okay.
and
It
it's
reduces your
less
liability, and you get a higher quality end product. You know, and like, for example, AccuFund, we can import from a payroll service. So it makes a lot of sense, you know, you're gonna spend, I mean, think about it this way. Cost of payroll module in AccuFund is gonna be, it's like $2,000, right? Cost to implement it's gonna be like $4,000 to $6,000, so it's a lot of work, right? Cost of a payroll service for the year is gonna be maybe $3,000, right? And sure, that's an annual fee, but you think of the cost of the person who runs the payroll internally versus having payroll service do it. You know, it's just a cost benefit analysis. It's worth you guys considering, you know.
Yeah, I feel like your
So-
presentation was excellent.
Thanks.
I know the need that Sandy has and everybody else does. But the bottom line is, I think you and Sandy ought to get together with Doug and say, at our next meeting, here are the facts. Here's exactly how much it's gonna cost. And Doug miraculously says, and I found X amount of dollars in capital non-reoccurring, and we could use that money. And it could be done by August. But going back and forth, how capital, who's in the clouds, Joe wants a dashboard. They're talking Greek to me. I have a tough time emailing people. But I know, and I've talked to Sandy many times, this is very important, and the security thing kills me here. I didn't know that.
what you just told us. So I think, you know, we're gonna have to put this discussion over. You three have to get together and go with two numbers, and that's it. We deal with money. You guys deal with what's the best for the town. Joe, you have any questions, or?
Well, no, I mean, it's pretty, you know, I don't just, I mean, a lot of the things he's talking about, I have no idea what he's talking about. My question is how much?
Right.
And
Can we do it?
if they choose, Doug chooses to pick on that system, you know, negatively, you know, use that type of system, and it's an improvement, fine, but it's an improvement at how much money, and is the money available to do it? Because every time we turn around and we talk about that, there's a wave of other things that will be rolling down. I'm interested in hearing what Savage, Eric says, because he's the person that deals with these things all the time. And here, you know, it's he's in town, new parking lot, what have you.
They get more attention for that parking lot
Yeah,
than
you know, I
15
mean,
years of business.
And my question becomes with regards to the individual here is, how long is he going to be doing this with regards to us? And is he gone working for somebody else in 2 years, and we get somebody else in here saying, yeah, that wasn't such a good idea?
No, he's saying the references have been pretty clear that guys started doing Acumen in 2003.
Well, I'm not trying to be negative.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the dollars and cents part of the whole thing. I think if we had this back when, you know, it would have been certainly a done deal by now with regards to buying these things. And, you know, there was a question in the last meeting with regards to it asked to you, with regards to how does that make everybody's job easier, quicker, and is there savings at that end? And you know, and I know there isn't really a good answer for that. I understand that.
It increases accuracy. Instead
Well-
of all this keeping track of different things in Excel, you know, off to the side.
I mean, and if the WPCA, you know, decides to go in on something like that, how does all that work? Does it work okay? I mean, you know, if you go downstairs now and you're paying for one house 200, no, anyway, whatever it is, your water bill, you know, is that system going to be able to handle it, or is it on a separate? I mean,
It's a separate system.
Well, actually,
how do you get it all together?
It has utility billing modules. That's something you could.
But the utility would be just for accounts payable, right?
Well, the utility module has the capability to import data from meter reading, like
Oh, okay.
Lucy does.
Oh, really?
And right now, WPCA is using 2 different software systems. They're using the Rosian Fundware.
You know, I appreciate that, but I don't know anything about it.
So
And
does
whether
the
you got 2,
software-
4, 6, or 8. I mean, the question is, can we get this to work
Yes.
in one unit, and what does it cost?
But can we go further? I mean, do we go further? Do
Yeah.
we want to cross that bridge where does WPCA
Well,
want to
actually,
look into
with
their
W-
side and then we can put it
well,
all
yeah, I
together?
think-
And if it's cheaper to buy it together, do we look at that?
Oh, that I don't know about.
We
I don't
didn't
think it's gonna be
even go
cheaper.
into that because the whole utilities is a whole unique animal of itself. And
It can be added on later.
it can be added on later.
Yeah, it's just a module. It's integrated in. It was there in the demo. I just flashed through it, but it's there. It's actually part of the whole package, not like something separate. So actually, probably you wouldn't be completely reinventing the wheel to put it in. They would actually benefit from you guys having done it first, because then you wouldn't have to buy another Acumen license. They may need another database, maybe for, you know, if they can be separate, if the controls say that, but you probably wouldn't have to rebuy Acumen, you just have to buy more user seats.
What exactly are the 5?
5 people can be in the system at the same time. That's what that
Yeah.
means. But more than 5 people can know how to use it and have logins. But
Yeah, we
only
could
5
install it on every computer in the
Yeah.
place, so it'll only
Well,
allow
I'm
5
assuming
people
you would,
once.
wouldn't you?
5 concurrent users.
Right.
Okay.
So you got 20 people with it, you know, when that 6th person goes to get out.
Oh, okay. What if the guys, so you can have all 5 working at the same time?
maybe 5, but not 6.
Then you walk around the office and go, are you really using that?
Yeah, I've been down that road before too.
What is it?
Okay.
City of Pine
So, we'll work
That's it.
to get you the numbers you need.
Tony, you want to see when they can come back with a
Ridge? I
plan?
thought they said it was on.
And then
What do you want to wait till our next meeting?
I'd say wait till the next meeting.
Yeah, I don't think you need me, I think I just,
Oh, yeah, give them the numbers.
on the dollars and.
Eric, her, and
Yeah.
Doug get together, you give them numbers.
It's running through here.
It's not right.
So special
Get it done.
service district is
We
running
find money,
through here.
yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm glad you came.
Your
You
payroll is running through
did it on my technology.
I wasn't here to teach you.
Reimburse for that?
But I did learn something about the
You do get
bourbon.
certain funds from them.
I'm looking for
Marcus
money.
Mark Distillery in Lebanon.
Well,
What? Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yes.
and part of the
Yeah, they pay a percentage.
$9,200 is a small
You'll Walmart
portion
theater,
of the special services.
you'll Walmart theater and
Yeah,
it
well,
sees
since
that.
they've been on this,
Do they?
I just didn't break it out.
But if the special service district is in on this, don't it? I mean, and they're doing it, do we need their I mean, we're kind of different than they are for any number of things. The charter makes us different.
Yeah, but I'm thinking if they're using our system and we change our system, they're still using our system after.
Correct.
Right.
So it doesn't
How does
matter.
it-
I've spoken with
How does it work that they get to use our system?
Should they pay some of the implementation?
Exactly.
Well, they would have their own implementation costs because they're really different than you guys.
I think I just
They would have
said
a separate database, right? So, the software is installed once, but there's two databases, two files. Their file is different than your file. So,
I understand that. We're talking about cost. We're talking about anything else other than if they're using our system and it costs us $1,000, a number, $1,100, I don't care what number you want, a year, why don't they send us $1,000 a year for using our system?
There's a lot of-
If we're paying,
Two
we're
big
paying,
bums.
well, but someone had to make that decision, I just don't know who, so I look at Mr. Cutler, who says, why did I even say that? That we're paying $1,000 a year to Savage Eric to do whatever it needs to do, okay? Their budget is, I don't know, 2 million? 2 million something or other?
2 million.
Our budget is not, we don't count the Board of Education in our budget. Our budget is like, what, 5? 4?
5.
4? So their budget is 3 million less than ours, and they're paying nothing?
They do pay some.
How much?
It's like to go onto the system and try to find it.
Well, I don't know that that's a silly question.
No, it's not.
No, it just goes back to like the $9,200 that we paid to Harris.
Well, but someone, I appreciate people
I
that
don't
want to
know
know.
what they pay
but-
Savage, because I don't see those bills. Because
Well, someone
they pay
sees
for
them.
that. Lucille pays.
I have no idea who Lucille is.
She does payroll.
Where does she live? She works
She
here?
works in the
She
police
works at the
department.
police department, she does accounts payable.
We should know that.
She was right there until a year ago.
Yeah, she used to be over in that little room.
We evicted her.
I know who Lucille is.
Well, I know, but something came up, you said something about implementing the special service district.
Right,
I know.
right.
So that charge is not in here.
no, because they weren't a part of the conversation, right?
If they get part of it, we're
Well,
gonna pay.
no, see, I understood we've got 15 different
Yeah,
databases.
sure, yeah. Yeah.
So if they do payroll like we do payroll, I didn't see that there was a difference.
If they're in the-
They do AP.
Wait, are they in
we
your
do-
books? Are they special services are part of your books?
Yes and no. Part of,
If they're part of your books, then it's included in this, but if they're
because they're part
separate
of like the
organizations
due
completely.
to,
You know,
the
that's-
funds.
Oh, the due funds? Oh, then they're part of your database, so it's included in, right, yes. So,
Okay. We just
maybe I'm
gotta make
confusing,
sure of that.
Yes, yes.
I'm confusing, I may have said special services, but I'm thinking water, water.
No,
No,
no.
Water's-
So I was
We have-
thinking,
Yeah, that's,
we have many,
sorry,
many
that's on a separate thing, but the special service district is,
no, that's a part of this, because that's a fund, it's a separate fund within your overall control, correct?
Well, then look at
I don't know that we have no control over that at all.
No,
But it's still, is it in your books?
I have no idea, I've never seen it.
it's not in our budget.
Not in our budget.
Yeah, so it is in your books, it's in your audit, so
Due to
yes, it's a
special
part of
services
this,
district.
yeah. If it's a line item in your audit, then then it'd be a part of this, because I have to make it so that, like, remember I showed you the financial statements have to, you want the financial statements to be as close as possible, so you provide your auditors, here's our book, here's our financial statements. So we would include the special services district in what we implement for you.
Okay. So you guys got a month.
Well,
The
we
tax
come over there,
collector
there, so
and
we're,
the treasurer get
like I said, I can give you the
by the
number by
service
the end of the
district
night.
each year.
But
The
it
work
would
that
be
they
good.
do
We
for
have to
them, now we
work on it
collect
to get
their
them up.
taxes.
Yes.
Because the budget, everything's closed. Eric, you were great.
I didn't hear what you said. but
said
yes,
you were
I
great.
agree. You were great.
You were great.
Oh, I was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You've come a long way since detention.
I didn't understand what you said.
What I said was that the town, the revenue collector collects the taxes for the special service district. And the special service district does pay the town a certain dollar amount, it's figured by the total that they have and what we have, and we come up with a percentage, and they'll pay a percentage of the expense for the revenue collector's office. And we do the same thing with the treasurer's office. So they do pay us for the work that the treasurer does for them and the revenue collector does for them.
So it's not technically a second thing they pay us for, so we do for them. There you go. There you go.
Have you ever read it in the audit?
Well, that's a little confusing.
Okay.
Tony, can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
Does your company offer a financial phased-in approach to
That's a really good question.
like car payments?
We don't really, I mean, the implementation you would have, you're not gonna pay me up front for the whole implementation, it would be phase 1 planning, phase 2, we install the software, phase 3. So, the checks aren't gonna be, it's not gonna be one check to AccuFund and me for the whole deal. It's gonna be payments over like a 6-month period as we get it rolling. That said, if you wanted to spread it out, say over a 3-year period or something like that, you could look at, sometimes lease companies, I've worked with a few, could give you like a 3-year lease where you have a lease to purchase. And they'll include the cost of the implementation and the cost of the software and extra hardware if you needed in one lease deal. And it should be a short-term lease, be like 3 years. But that would be a way, if you were interested, to spread it out over a 3-year period where you purchase the software and you're only coming up with an amount that sounds like it's already in your budget versus, something that's not. So
We're looking
that's
at
a
all
lot.
that stuff.
Hmm?
We will look at all those
Okay,
things.
if you need me to provide you with a lease vendor and a lease budget, I can. Because as I said, I've worked with a couple.
That would be good. Okay, sounds good.
All right.
All right, there you go, Sandy. Thank you for coming up here from
Good
Madison.
question.
Okay.
Thank you
Moving
very
on.
much,
Gotcha.
everybody. Appreciate it, it's a pleasure.
Okay, we need a finance director, no, we need unfinished business. Sewer and water plant. Is that you, Mr. Garso, or is that Doug?
What?
Accounting system quotes and information? Sandy, is that you?
What's that?
Accounting system quotes and information.
Well, that's it. I know what
I thought it was, okay.
I thought there was other
That's what we had, there's another discussion, an hour. This poor guy, he's got a long drive back there. Okay, water and sewer. Bobby? Or Dougie?
It looks like the water, sewer plant upgrades are gonna be done by the end of the year, right? Right. That's the plan, then it will be officially upgraded.
I have a question about the water.
Yes.
Not trying to be a pain. When all these upgrades are done, will the water in taste better? Asking a simple question that I've been asked 1,000 times.
Me too.
There's no guarantees of life.
But we're spending $40 million.
That's our goal, is to make the water better.
Yes.
Okay?
Is it going to be from wells, or is it going to be from the Little River?
Combination.
It's a combination of,
And it'll never taste better if it's from the Little River. No care what you do to that water, it'll be a swimming pool.
tastes good now.
Get out of here.
I've been raised on this all my life.
Wow, there we go.
You're like those Mexicans. You're like a Mexican. You drink the water Mexican would say, I go down and drink it once, there I am, Montezuma.
They tell me I have a cast iron stomach. I said, it's good water I drink all my life.
Jeez,
There's
Carol.
some areas of the town that are better than others, okay?
Is that because the pipes are 100 years old?
That's right. And what they're doing with the.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you, everybody.
With the system, to repair the pipes, okay, they've identified the worst areas in town. Because we have some areas in town where they did the piping, if you can picture this, now you get a 4-inch pipe, then all of a sudden somebody puts in a 2-inch pipe, then they attach another 4-inch pipe. That doesn't work out too good. I don't know why they did that way back then, but that's the way they did it. But what they've done in the town is identified the worst areas, the areas with the worst, with the lowest pressure, okay? And they're planning to reline those particular pipes. With the hopes that, when the water goes through, it's a lot, it doesn't accumulate the crap, that's because if you look at some of those pipes that they've cut out, that have been repaired, a 4-inch pipe is not 4-inch anymore on the inside. It's down to, like about 2.
In the north end where you and I both live.
What's that?
As they say, in the north end.
In the north end.
North end. Okay. The last street that went in was Lancaster Street,
Yeah.
the street I live on. How come those water pipes have been in there 33 years?
Yeah.
4 water pipe breakages. Four. Just on Lattice Street.
Breaks on Lattice Street?
And I don't know how many on Borough or Vienna Street. What would cause that after the newest pipes put in the city?
I don't know if any breaks on my street that have occurred.
I didn't mention your street.
Bro. No, you did. You mentioned
Bro,
Bro.
no, it's not yet. What do I
Bebo.
call this one?
Bebo.
Bebo.
Okay, Bebo Street. The problem in the north end, okay, when they went ahead and built all those houses, all right, there was a lot of stone, a lot of rocks. And you probably see them on people's front yards.
with a big
okay?
hole in the middle.
You see the big boulder and you say, where did that come from? Well, when they were digging, they came up with that boulder and they put it there, and they left it there. That might have contributed to it. I don't know. I can't answer that, why they've had so many breaks.
All right.
But lately, though, and of course, I'm knocking on wood, I keep asking Jerry, every time I sit down with Jerry, every 2 weeks, how's it going? And, compared to some of these other towns where they've had enormous breaks in the water mains, it's quieted down in the last couple of years, in the last year, where we're not having the kinds of breaks that we've had in the past. But with the relining that's going to happen, that should improve the water. You're absolutely. To answer your question, we hope that it will improve.
Okay, happy with that. Okay, thank you. Technology Park update.
We got our record of decision from the state of Connecticut, which basically means that they now have covered everything from an environmental standpoint that they want us to either mitigate or take care of once we do the tech park and the bridge and the YMCA. So this basically gives us the go-ahead with the ability to put the projects out to bid, subject to us getting the necessary approvals and also us getting the land and extinguishing the right of first refusal from the units. Which, if it doesn't happen by August, basically we need to move this thing forward now that everything's in place. So we need to have a decision by August. Actually, by the selectmen's meeting on August 12th.
Like I asked you for the last 23 months, when is that bridge going to be done? I know you said, I thought it went out to bid.
No, it went out for consulting engineering. That's been, the CME has been working on that for, whenever we got the state agreement, but.
Okay. Is it going to be the same place?
Same place.
And the right of first refusal has anything to do with that?
Yes, we need to extinguish the right of first refusal before we can either donate the land to the Y or accept the land from Wheelbridge.
I thought that was a 50-50 deal. 50 for the town, 50 for Wheelbridge.
It is, but after everything had been approved by the town and our agreement with the Wheelbridge, they cut a separate deal with the Newts to give them the right of first refusal after everything else was done.
Do you have any idea why they did that?
No.
That's holding everything up.
What happens if that doesn't happen?
I know that the YMCA has some other options that they're looking at.
When you say right of first refusal, so basically, that could negate putting the bridge across?
If we can't come to agreement with them,
No bridge.
no bridge,
What do you do with the $3 million the state gave us?
we'd have to give it back. And the YMCA would have to give their money back.
And people donate all that money?
Well, that's the thing, is that they have other options that they could consider.
They won't be moving it out of Putnam.
Either moving it out of Putnam or moving it in another site in Putnam. Don't forget, we had offered one other site at the time we were initially discussing them, and that was the Sabin Street property.
Is that big enough?
It's big enough.
Wetlands?
No. Well, there's wetlands along the shoreline, but don't forget you have a higher plateau there that we had looked at it from the standpoint of locating the high school, a brand new high school there.
I remember.
And that was, we were going to expand the high school to I forget how many square feet, and it could accommodate the high school. Plus, we'd be able to get gravel out of the site.
So did they have an ultimatum? You have to let us know by August 1st?
They have to know. We have to know by August 7th. August 7th is the deadline for the agenda, Denise. Is that?
Yes,
Yep.
actually, it needs to be mailed on the 7th.
Yep.
Because I know our lawyers, their lawyers have been going back and forth for months. Okay.
Well, actually, if this whole thing goes down and it doesn't take place, we lose and they lose too, don't they? The people with the first refusal or whatever you call it?
Well, if that happens, the town and the Wheelbrayer still have their 50-50 deal in place, and nothing is triggering their ability to take the right of first refusal. That's the deal that we have with Wheelbrayer, that if we want to take gravel off that site now, we can take that gravel off the site now, and we would share the cost of the revenue with Wheelbrayer on a 50-50 basis.
So we'll get something. Okay.
We'll get our money back, basically. Everything we're doing for the studies.
Item 7, new business. State disposition of surplus property, 380 Park Street, Dempsey Center portion. I know you and Don walked the property.
Don did.
Don did. And I'll tell you what, do you have in your package this letter that we received? It was written to Williams and Rivero and Peter Place. That the state's put this up. They established a price of $2.189 million for the whole thing, but, for 17.15 acres of the entire 19.67. I think they want to keep the greenhouse and the front building. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So everything else is up for sale. And then, Mayor Place received a letter, which I'll read to you and go into the, you all got those?
You got that?
Yeah.
Okay, you got that.
Okay. I want to read this so to keep you abreast. Dear Mr. Mayor, my name is Richard Renault. I've been a Special Olympic volunteer and special needs advocate in Northeast Connecticut for 25 years. In the late 80s and 90s, I worked as a rec therapist at the Dempsey Center. As you may know, the cottages in the residential group home at the Dempsey Center have been closed for several years now. I am very interested in turning the properties into special needs or supported living housing and a community center. I spoke with Tom Jerem from the Department of Administrative Services, who's in charge of surplus state property. He said that property will be first offered to the city of Putnam, and if you don't want it, then it'll put it up for general auction. He said I should speak to you, and it's blah, 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 blah. Now, my thing is this. I think it's in the best interest, I told Doug, told Mayor Place, I think it's in the best interest of the town of Putnam that we purchase that and not let this fella do what he wants to do. I think Putnam over the years has done their fair share. We have a drug rehab center. We have a state and federal housing project for low and medium income families. We have free and reduced breakfast and lunch programs for the kids. We have a summer program for that. Coats and boots for the needy. and everything else. If this goes in, this fellow makes that a special supported living, which means those people living there of school-aged children would be basically residents of Putnam, and they will be entitled to go to Putnam Public Schools. But I don't know how many rooms are there, how many beds are there, but if you're talking 10, 12, 15 kids, they'd all be special ed students. You see what's happening in Killingly. Every time we have a meeting, we have a special education problem with Superintendent Hall. And you're at the mercy. If they move in, you got to take care of it. I cannot see put Putnam in jeopardy. I have nothing against special needs kids. But I think you would possibly bankrupt the Board of Education in the town if 10, 20, 30, 40 kids move in there. Because by law, we'd have to educate them. And no matter what they say, if they're going to educate them, no. The law specifically says, where you sleep is where you go to school. So if they're sleeping at 280 Parford Street, the Dent Center, by law, they have the right to go to public schools. And I think that would devastate our school system. So, it would destroy the budget. So if there's any way that we can, and I talked to Danny Rivero, former mayor, and now he's a rep. I haven't talked to Don Williams yet, but hopefully those guys can help us get that price knocked down.
What do they want for it?
They want $2,189,500.
Oh, not like the Army then, huh?
No, they went back. It's not a $500 deal. They can't use it, and how are those buildings?
Huh?
How are the buildings?
Buildings are in great shape.
Great shape. Could we put a future town hall there? Because this place, it get condemned.
It's up to you. It's up to the town folks.
But could it serve as a town hall?
Oh, you could accommodate the space, sure.
Okay. So those are my personal feelings, and I'm trying to look out the best way that I can as a Board of Finance member to protect Putnam from going in the red. So I don't know. We don't have the authority to say go out and buy it, but I think.
Isn't there a due date of that?
Yeah.
August 2nd.
We have to look
The
that up.
Board of Selectmen have voted to approach the state to express their interest in the property. The problem is that we have to go through a extensive review process, and so we would need more time to do that. So it was my intent to write a letter on behalf of the Board of Selectmen saying that we're interested in the property, to request an extension of that August 2nd date, and to then set up a meeting with the state involving Senator Williams' office and Representative Rivero's office.
That would be great. Again, I'm just one person, and I would hope that the rest of the Board of Finance feels kind of the same way and urges the selectmen to pursue that in the best interest of the town of Putnam. Because if we don't, someone else will hook that. And there's a drug rehab center right across the street. We don't need an expansion of that. We do enough. Maybe we could put it in Woodstock or Pomfret.
What?
Someplace in the.
So that's all I have to say on that matter. Okay.
Do you want to support the selectmen in their
We
effort?
support. Oh, yes.
Okay, you could make a motion to that effect?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we support the selectmen going after the extension of the August 2nd meeting.
Is there a second on that? Motion is made to support the selectmen in their endeavor to expand this research on Dempsey Center.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, so voted. So the entire Board of Selectmen, Finance, supports the effort of the Board of Mayor and the Board of Selectmen in pursuing that piece of property with Representative Rivero and Senator Pro Tem Doug Williams to knock this price down.
Don Williams.
Pardon me, Don. What did I say? Doug?
Yeah.
Close enough.
It's the same thing.
Close enough, right. That's what I was thinking. They both are loaded. Any other business to lawfully come before this board? Seeing none, the chair entertains a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted.
The other thing you got to discuss is we ran out of paper last year. We're cutting back on the amount of minutes that you guys need, so just be warned.